It has been such a busy offseason for the St. Louis Blues, and I have some stuff to get into with a very special guest today. I'll tell you more about that coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am Haley Taylor Simon, joined by my friend Dylan, and we do have a lot to discuss on today's episode of Locked On Blues. We have the draft to discuss, the off-season moves, and of course, my favorite Friday segment, Are We Feeling Blue? Before I dive any deeper, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Hello, Dylan, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I told you every month I was going to have you on. I know that summer's been a little bit busy, but it is good to have you back on the channel.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm glad the Stanley Cup is over. I wasn't really wanting Edmonton to win with them being in the West. I'm happy for Matty Tkachuk and, Tarasenko getting a second cup, and it was a cool series. I could not believe they came back from 3-0, but now we're like less than 100 days from puck drop for the Blues, so could not be more excited there.
I believe it's 93 days until our first game, which is insane.
Yeah.
But in 93 days, a lot can happen. Now, first off, I want to talk about that Stanley Cup. Tarasenko winning his second Stanley Cup brought a lot of emotions out of me. Fun fact about this, because when he won with the Blues and now the Panthers, these are both two organizations that won their first Stanley Cup with Vladimir on the team. So I thought that was really cool. But secondly, seeing him hoist the cup again just brought me back to all of the emotion of when he won with us. And I kind of wanted him to, sign with St. Louis in the offseason. Now he's with Detroit, which, again, it's fine. I don't think Detroit's going to be much of a team that's going to go on a run. But he's getting paid. I don't know. Do you ever feel like during this offseason you were a little disappointed that none of our former players were linked to us? Perron wasn't linked to us. Maroon wasn't linked to us. None of these guys were linked to us here in St. Louis. I have mixed emotions. I want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm not shocked that Tarasenko didn't end up coming back here. I think he's the type of player that he was just kind of ready to move on from here whenever his time was up here, and he gave us his best years. 2019, I go back to that game 5 in San Jose when he gets the breakaway one-on-one with the goalie and just snipes it. We end up winning 5-0. It kind of felt like the series was over then. Maroon is another interesting player, because I never really thought for what he ended up leaving for. I thought the Blues easily should have brought him back in 2020. Now, of course, he's in Chicago, which is not ideal.
Disgusting.
By any means. And Perron, it was interesting. I'm happy to see him get a nice little deal with Ottawa. I love David Perron. He's literally one of my favorite players in the NHL. He brought so much attitude and positivity, and he was a great goal scorer for us. I thought he would have been great with Jimmy Snuggerud, at least for one season. Get him in, get those two together in the power play. You're pretty much putting the same player out there on both power play units, and takes a little pressure off of Snuggerud whenever his college season ends. But, I guess we're kind of on a new wave now. So it's sad, but 2019's been a while ago now. So I'm happy to see a lot of these guys still in the NHL at the end of the day.
Which is crazy, too. 2019 was 5 years ago, and I know some of these guys are getting a little bit older, and we don't want that on our team, even though we did acquire some older players, which we're going to get into. But I want to talk about the younger guys. So the 2024 NHL entry draft happened a couple weeks ago. I was out there in Vegas, and we got the guy that I thought the Blues were going to get, which was Adam Jiricek. Now, I don't know how much you know about Adam, but what I can tell you is that he is dealing with an injury, which made him kind of fall in the draft, which is why I predicted that he would fall. Now, I like Adam a lot. I think he's a great asset to this team. What do you think? Were you surprised that the Blues took him, or were you like, I can see the plan and the vision as to why Doug drafted him?
Yeah, I definitely can see it. It's got the whole draft, in my opinion, had Alexander Steen, Keith Tkachuk, Doug Armstrong. It had their names. Their hands were all over every pick. It really felt like a strong Blues draft for where we're at in our retool, not rebuild. Jiricek, Yeah, he looks awesome. It looks like he's going to be in the OHL, which is amazing news for us Blues fans. He's going to get quality minutes. I don't know. I did hear about the injury, but it's so hard to really dive into players like that, like especially when we're picking 16 overall. I was a little shocked when Minnesota moved up, and then the return was only a 4th, and then they're like 13th or whatever.
And we were in contention for that too with Philadelphia.
I would have done that.
I was really surprised because the way that the draft board worked out was I really like Sam Dickinson. I think that we would have drafted Sam if he ended up falling. That was the guy that I wanted for us. Okay. When he was still on the board at 11 before San Jose took him, and I hate the Sharks, by the way. I just want to make that fully transparent. The Sharks suck.
Agreed.
Pass will never forget it.
No
but yeah. So I was standing there, and as soon as I saw San Jose take it, I'm like, yeah, they're going to go with Adam Juracek. And it's not that he's a bad player, but Sam Dickinson, I mean, he had a phenomenal season in the OHL at the London Knights, and I really feel like he would have accelerated this Blues' defense. So it was a disappointing outcome. Now, Minnesota doing that was quite a surprise. I don't think the Wild are going to be a contending team anytime soon. I know they have, Marc-Andre Fleury, who's one of the best goalies that's played in quite a while, but he's not the best now, right?
No.
But you can say, with his history, he has been good.
Yeah.
I don't know Minnesota's plan. I thought that was a little strange. And I think that St. Louis not stepping into that slot was a smart move just due to the fact that Dickinson was drafted prior, and it wouldn't have made sense to go for 12 instead of 16 at that point.
I agree. I mean, if you look at what it really means to draft a player, you're kind of taking a chance. I have friends that kept saying, "Oh, sell Buchnevich," and I know we'll probably get into that. Sell Buchnevich.
Yeah, we will get into that.
But you're selling a player that's solidified top 6, like a guy that's a point per game player for multiple picks, which you don't know if those players will ever turn into anything. And at the end of the day, that's the draft.
Well, you know what's weird about our draft too, and I was thinking about this a lot. Our first 3 picks, obviously our first round, Adam Juracek. Then we went to Colin Ralph in the second round,
Love him.
48th, which I did like. And I liked a lot Lucas Fisher too, who we drafted in the second round at 56 overall. But we've got 3 defensive players within our first 3 picks, which was a smart move. Obviously, the Blues' blue line, isn't it? And we know that. Statistically, they're not the worst. But as fans that watch them play, it is so frustrating. It's like nails on a chalkboard. So do you agree with that? Do you think that the Blues maybe should have gone for more offensive talent? Or do you agree that, hey, maybe going defense heavy right away was the best move for the longevity of this team?
To me, I think you really can't go wrong with defenders. I mean, you look at the Rangers this year and really the past few years, there's been a lot of Edmonton. I mean, their defense improved dramatically, but they could hardly make the playoffs with all that firepower up front before they started to get, Ekholm, and they got a couple guys playing better on the defense. And I think the Blues have a really good top 6, top 9 moving forward. I'm really high on Zach Dean. I think he could play middle 6 minutes easily this season. Dvorsky easily. I think, honestly, right now, if you told me right now, I think ideally he's going to get a shot at the second line center this season. Like, I really do. I think he's going to kill it in camp.
So where do you think Braden Shen's going to go? You think he's going to be in the third line?
I mean, in a perfect world, he's a great third line center.
I agree. But that's the situation. This is the debate that I've been having with a bunch of friends and family about this, because I love Braden Shen. I did a whole episode on this about him being captain. I get why they picked him.
Sure.
But do I think he's playing like he's a first or second liner? No. And that's okay. He's later in his career, but you have to give these players that are young and up and coming a chance. I mean, right now with our first line, I think that's solid the way that it is. I love it. Thomas, and you have Neighbors and then Bush. But our second line could really use some improvement. I just don't know if Bannister, if the organization even is going to be okay with having Shen be on the third line.
Well, I really hope so, because I really don't think I don't even think he's the second best option I think he's literally the 4th best option for the second line center. Like, I would take
who else do you have?
I would take Buchnevich at center over Shen on the second line.
I was about to say, if you had Nathan Walker.
Maybe not Nathan Walker, although he did have a really good year last year in the bottom 6. And he's going to have some competition with some of these guys they brought up.
Yeah.
But Shen, his role, and he could have a bit of a resurgence. We've seen it before in the NHL. You never know what a guy's dealing with, and he's a player that really lays it all out on the line. Like if you throw him out there in a preseason game, he's liable to get hurt or hurt someone or hit someone hard. Like he tries really hard. I love Braden Shen. You're so familiar with him from his days in Philadelphia. I never forget. I remember where I was when I found out we traded Jori Lehtera for him. He's been awesome with the Blues.
Yeah.
I think he could have a resurgence. I know people are down on him right now, but
I hope so. I grew up with Braden Shen and Luke Shen even. I really root for him, and I love everything that he does for the organization. I love how much he cares about the organization, but at the end of the day, if you're not playing well, then maybe you shouldn't be on that second line. But we have a lot to get into with some more guys that are a little bit of competition for the guys on the roster. But first, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Gametime. Gametime is the best ticket marketing place of Major League Baseball. I love Gametime so much for so many reasons. One, it lets me see exactly where I'm going to sit before I purchase my tickets. And they also do have flash deals and zone deals and so many deals. So tonight, we actually play the Chicago Cubs for the series.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you about the Cardinals. Despite the fact that they did lose, they lost on, I believe it was Wednesday. They lost.
They played a doubleheader and lost both.
Yeah, they lost both. They did win, though, however, the National Series, which was good. But that Royal Series, I said that it was going to be a challenge. But if you want to see the Cards hopefully win, big hopefully, against the Cubs, then use Gametime. Right now, the Cardinals are behind the Brewers in the NL Central, so they really just need to keep on winning. I don't doubt they're going to be in the playoffs. So go see a playoff contending team in St. Louis finally with Gametime. So this is what you need to do. You need to take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I know the Cardinals have been fun. Like I know this is
rolling. They're rolling right now.
I'm surprised, but this is a good thing. Honestly, the way that the season started out wasn't so great, but they picked it up, and now they are a scary baseball team. I believe, and mark my words, that this could be a World Series bound team. I see it happening.
Not to get too deep into it because I have been pretty locked into the Cardinals lately. But yeah, like if they get Arenado and Goldschmidt hitting, like we both know they're capable of hitting, and maybe add a starter and force like Palante into the bullpen, oh man, they could be really good. We'll see what happens. I personally think this 3-game set with the Cubs this weekend is pretty big. I think a lot of people are saying like, all right, if we win this, we're more of a buyer. If we lose this, like we don't really get swept or something, But that's not really how baseball works. We know John Mozeliak doesn't think that way, but huge series.
Which is why I'm excited about it. Isn't it nice to have a team in St. Louis? I mean, I know our Battlehawks, and I'm not huge into soccer, but anyways, the point is, it's nice having a team that's actually going to be bound to go into the playoffs, unlike the Blues the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So look how I'm going to adjust this one. So speaking of the Blues missing the playoffs the past couple seasons, no doubt in my mind that they had to make some moves this offseason. And the moves that they made, like, the Joseph brothers, getting, Suter, which, again, we're going to get into all of it, Fasta, so many different players that the Blues ended up acquiring. Is it bad if I say I'm not a huge fan of some of the moves that they made?
No, I was hoping you were going to ask me something along the lines of just the offseason overall. I'm pretty underwhelmed, to be honest with you. I'm ecstatic about Buchnevich coming back. He kind of keeps
that was a good one, and I like the extension. And did you hear what Doug said? He was like, "I want a player that wants to play here. It's really rare that you find in the NHL." But he had to do some negotiating, and Buch was like, "I'm not backing down. I want to stay here because I believe Doug offered him like 5 years, and he wanted to do more than that."
He got 6, right? 6 years?
6 years, but
Doug wanted 5, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he wanted 7. That was what I heard. I can't confirm it. That was like rumors and speculation, but it ended up being 6 years. I think it's great. It's going to activate next season, so not even this season. So he's going to be turning 30, which is young. I want to put that out there. It is young in real life. In hockey life, I might be a little bit older, but it is still plenty of time, and he's not going to regress. But that was a good move. And then how about Kapanen? I wanted to get your thoughts on that one.
That one was kind of I almost thought it was a joke at first. Like, I really don't want to hate on the player. I think he's fine down there on the third line or whatever. But like, there was some stuff in the offseason with him last year, right before the season, and he had like 8 goals or whatever this season, and he's out there. His plus minus wasn't great, and I just don't really see why we can't just have a younger player, like, see what they got. Give these kids a chance. Give them more than 15 games to solidify a role. But $1 million, it is what it is. It's a 1-year deal. I hope to see the Blues in the playoffs this year. The Central's loaded up a little bit. We'll see. It's not like he has to play. Like, if someone's outperforming him, they're going to take him out, I think, or move him on the fourth line. So we'll just see.
There's no way they have him play all 82 games.
No, I don't. He didn't even come close to that last season, I don't think.
I don't get why they did it, though. Like, it would have made sense. And, like, I hate to, act like I'm, like, an online manager of a team.
Sure.
But wouldn't it have made more sense just to, like, let him go and move on with it? Like, why bring him back? And that's my number one question is why? Because $1 million, yes, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough money, though, to sign, as we talked about just now, a younger guy. I don't know. I don't have a name in mind, but a younger guy that could potentially grow and develop and not regress and slow down the team.
I agree. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for anyone that can play in the NHL. It's insanely hard to do that. Yeah, like, there's no way. I'd stick out like a sore thumb out there. But it was kind of sad, like second day of free agency. I don't even remember if it was first or second day, but Tom Stillman had comments to J.R. Rutherford about, it sounds like there's already something big in the works. And I do believe there is a trade coming. I don't know when. I don't know who it is. All signs kind of point towards, like one of the left-handed shot defensemen, because we have 6 of them now.
Yeah.
4 of them we just signed: Prunovich, Joseph, Sutter, and I can't think of the other one. But we have a lot of left-hand shot defensemen. I don't really see a role for Torrey Krug on this team anymore. I know that he's got the no trade clause, and that seems to not be wanting to waive that. But I wonder if they entertain just straight up waiving him at this point in time.
Okay, so I did see the rumors too, by the way, about a big trade coming soon. Now, and I think it's honestly fascinating that you did bring up Torrey Krug, because I did a lot of contract reading just because I'm a little crazy about getting him off the team.
Yeah,
respectfully. With a no trade clause, I believe if a player, like, in a way, waives it for a specific team, like, let's go say, I'm just putting a random team out there. Let's go say the Florida Panthers, they just won a cup, whatever. He's not going back to Boston.
No.
But Florida Panthers, they mutually want, each other. I believe that he could waive it. The problem is what you're going to get in return, because Torrey Krug is limiting the St. Louis Blues on what they can do with him. He's putting them in a bad situation. So it makes me wonder if a big trade is coming soon. I can't even think of a team that would want to do this. Would we be getting something significant in return because they want Torrey Krug and some draft picks or something? Like, I don't understand any other player in the St. Louis Blues. Do they want Justin Folk? Because at that point, you can package together Torrey Krug, Justin Folk. Like, I am kind of half joking, half not joking. But what is it that makes us so valuable in a player that we can give away? Because it's not going to be Robert Thomas. It's not going to be Jake Neighbors. It's not going to be somebody that has value. Colton Parayko. I don't know what we're going to do. We're not going to give away, Bennington. We're not going to give away Joel Hofer. So who on the Blues has that much value that it can be a big trade? Is a big trade just getting rid of Torrey Krug and saying, hey, you're done now? You don't have to deal with him?
I think it's going to be kind of like the Kevin Hayes trade, where we have to send a pick, probably eat some salary, which we didn't do for Hayes, but probably eat some of Krug's salary. And the return probably won't be great, just to get the contract off the books. I don't know that much about how this all works, but I know next summer it makes a whole lot more sense for the Blues to actually buy out Krug. So We'll see if they're patient with him for one more year. but I cannot see that guy on the penalty kill this season. Like, I just cannot do that.
And by the way, speaking of our left-handed defenders, we do have Pierre Joseph, we have Torrey Krug, Nick Leddy, Scott Brunovich, and Tyler Tucker. So
Tyler Tucker, yeah.
I like Tyler Tucker. I'm a fan of him. I think that he is great on the third pairing. Nick Leddy, is it bad of me? Like, I respect the guys that have been playing and are vets on this team. I just feel like they slowed down this roster, and it just looks – I can't be cursing on this podcast, but if I could say a choice word, I would say that it looks like blank.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Leddy is – my problem with Leddy is it seems like every time the Blues give up a goal, he's just, like, standing right next to Bennington or Hooper, like, just, like, not taking anyone. Yeah, and, like, super shocked that it went in. It's like, dude, I'm not shocked. I've seen this happen way too many times. I think in the right situation, he's a really good, like, third pairing defenseman, but he's just playing way too far up the lineup right now for really what he is. I mean, he's really just a decent skater, puck mover. I mean, that's really all he does.
But what you're telling me is that he should be on the ice team.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what he is right now. He's not physical. The Blues lack that grit that they so desperately need. I think that's why, going back to your original question about them going defensive-minded in the draft, you get your Colton Parayko prototype, who still hasn't played. He just got out of high school. I'm pretty sure he's like 6'7" or something like that, like 220 pounds.
He just wait on the draft because it was his birthday, and I was like, "Oh, happy birthday!"
Oh yeah, you were there in Vegas. That must have been insane.
It was. So I'm going to be very transparent when it came to media members for the Blues. Obviously, the team had their team reporters. I think it was only like me and like maybe 3 other people. So I was able to speak to him one-on-one, and he is such a smart guy. You know, obviously his brother is a prospect right now in the Blue Jackets. And, you know, but Adam, he even said, I want to work hard for the city. He doesn't really know much about St. Louis, to be honest with you. He doesn't know really any of the players or anything, but he was very clear on that he wants to work hard and that he's going to give it his all. And he, you know, he couldn't go to prospect development camp because of his knee still, but he should be getting reps in soon. Like, he's going to play, but yeah, I like him. I do. I would prefer Sam Dickinson because I think that he'd be a faster, you know, pace to be called up. But with the Thunderbirds, you know, we have a good development program in the AHL. And I also like our ECHL now with, I believe it's the Everblades. And they just won, too, the Kelly Cup. So, which is, I know that we're not going to have any guys from there come to St. Louis, but it is cool now being affiliated with a team that is really successful. But a lot's happened this offseason. But Dylan, before I get into my favorite Friday segment, which I am so happy to have you a part of, I just want to let you know, make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel here on @LockedOnBlues. And you can listen on all podcasting forums, so your Spotify, Apple Music, Sirius, wherever you listen to your podcast. And Dylan, before I continue to my favorite question on Fridays, tell everybody where they can find you, because I think you're such a brilliant mind when it comes to the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, so I pretty much just go on random vendors pretty much about the Blues on Twitter at 97dway. I watch pretty much every game, especially if we're relevant down the stretch. You know, sometimes last season it got a little tough, but yeah, 97DWEH on Twitter. I love interacting with people. I love people in general. I talk to people all the time. I'm always down to talk sports, talk the Blues. I love the way you represent the Blues and the way that you're always kind of having our back. I saw something the other day about Philadelphia wanting Robert Thomas, and I was just like, what?
Jumped. Oh, did you see me jump on that?
Yeah, I had to jump on there and say a little bit because it made no sense at all.
And I want to address that now that you brought that up. I tried not to address it yesterday. I was on with Locked On Stars, and I was like, I'm just going to talk hockey and not get into this. One thing that bothers me the most is if you are not involved with St. Louis, you don't follow the team, you know, if you're a fan, if you're somebody that's covering in any way, if you're not, you know, involved with us, do not talk about us when it comes to trading Robert Thomas.
No.
Robert Thomas is like the one player on the St. Louis Blues that they're never going to get rid of because he is our star player. It's like saying the same thing like, oh, you know, the Maple Leafs are going to get rid of Austin Matthews. That's not going to happen. So I don't need other fan bases going on social media, creating false narratives that the Blues are going to be doing this huge rebuild and getting rid of Robert Thomas. Now, luckily, I'm I do stuff with different markets, and I'm very open about that. I'm going to call you out.
Sure.
I'm not going to be silent and say, oh, yeah, that could happen. It's not going to happen. Don't use the Blues' name. People use us, and it's so infuriating all the time. I don't know why everyone's obsessed with St. Louis when it comes to trades, but they are. And at this point, focus on your own organization. Focus on your own team that's not being successful. Focus on that. Focus on the fact that maybe your team hasn't made the playoffs in almost half a decade while we won the Stanley Cup like in 5 years ago. Like, we're a better organization. We have better talent. We have the best reporters. I love all the reporters on the Blues.
Too. Jamie Rivers is incredible.
Jamie's one of the best guys. So I could go on a whole rant, but I don't think I've ever been more annoyed about seeing stuff in my life. Like,
I agree.
Couldn't
100%. I think people see the Blues and where they're at and where they've been and think that they need to completely rebuild. And I see you talk about that all the time. Like, we're not doing that. We just signed a 30-year-old player to a 6-year deal. Yep. There is no basis that says we're going to trade our future 100-point center, Robert Thomas, when we just signed a 30-year-old to a 6-year deal. That makes zero sense. Why are you online claiming to be a hockey reporter when you're throwing out baseless trades, and it's just like, I don't understand why I have to even
many people. It's not even just one person. Like, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I see it, people from Anaheim. Like, it's everywhere. And I'm like, at the end of the day, the St. Louis Blues respectfully had a couple bad seasons, but they're still 100% better of a team than any of these other teams that did not make the playoffs. I can't stand this narrative. Now, if the Chicago Blackhawks, people want to talk, bad about us, fine. We hate each other. That's fine. San Jose, like, it's fine. Like, we have beef. But if you're a team that doesn't have any history with our team, don't talk about us. Even Dallas, you can talk because we have history with Dallas.
We own them.
We own them. We really do.
I'll go out and say it. You don't have to, but I will say that. We own them. We've eliminated them 2 or 3 times along with Minnesota. So, I mean, whatever. They can talk.
There are a couple of teams that own us.
Right now, yeah.
Like, just historically, but historically we do own Dallas. But it's an interesting thing that, you brought up, because I think that the respect that people need to have for St. Louis is lacking, in the sense of other teams are disrespecting us because maybe we don't have the biggest market, or maybe because we don't have the biggest names. But we have Stanley Cup champions on our team, which is more than most of these other teams.
The Vezina voting for Binnington was like 13th or something on the list. What a slap in the face. The guy kept us competitive every night he was on the ice.
But Joel Hofer, though, he got a lot of votes for his rookie season in that.
He was so good.
I was really proud of that. But overall, and I talk about this all the time, it's the disrespect of Jordan Binnington.
Oh, it's
countlessly. He's a top 5 NHL goalie, and I'm always having to defend that. Everyone's like, oh no, there's so many guys better than him. I'm like, who?
People just don't get it. I don't think people watch the Blues games. Like, I really just don't think they do right now.
Well, luckily, everyone's going to watch us on opening day, because it's not at night when we play against Seattle, which is stupid.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I've already been looking at tickets for the opening night with Minnesota and getting a group together. So, and you're making a trip to St. Louis for the first time this year, right? To a game?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact date. I'm trying to do a back-to-back so I can just get as many, games out of the little trip I go to.
Sure.
But heading out to St. Louis, the last time I was in St. Louis, I want to say it was maybe 3-4 years ago. It was after the Cup win. So it's been a little while. And then I think I'm going to also head to the Winter Classic, because
I want to go really bad. Never been to Chicago. So.
Nope. Never been to Chicago. I think, Fenway looks really cool when I see it on TV, and everyone's like, oh, you have to go to Fenway. But I'm trying to see prices because it's a little expensive. I
know. And knowing Chicago, I don't know if you know anything about that. Obviously, it's a huge market.
Yeah.
Season ticket holders usually get, as you know, the first chance at these tickets. If I can find something under $300, I'm probably going to try to make it up there for that. So
I think the Blues are going to win. And I think that it's such an honor that the NHL is acknowledging St. Louis and their rival that we do have a Chicago, because you're taking 2 teams that do have a lot of history that maybe haven't been the most successful in recent, years. And I say that short term, like a couple of years.
Right.
And they're giving us this huge platform. Now it's on the 31st. I don't like that.
Yeah,
It's so stupid. But and when the Blues come up to the East, I'm going to see them in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, Long Island.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to go all out because last year it just was really hard with traveling and some stuff with work, but I was able to make things work out. I love seeing the Blues play. And it sucks. It's like there's so many Blues fans where I live. It's an insane amount of people. So, Jack's BYOB.
I was going to ask you about that. Have you been there? Have you ever been there?
I have tried.
I need to go there at some point.
Like, I've been to where the building is, like outside the building, but to get in, like, it's not like a real bar. I'm pretty sure, like, now I don't know because I can't get in. Somebody owns it or something, and you have to like know the person and be friends with them. It's like a weird situation.
That makes sense. Because it was like when I heard about that original, they were like in there watching the Eagles Sunday Night Football game, and that was right after Bennington's first start, right? Yeah. Or right before his first start, and then we go on this glorious run. But yeah, we had like the city of Philadelphia like on our side for that whole. I felt like that whole playoff, and we played Boston, and I don't really think they're too fond of each other.
No, they hate Boston. Hate Boston. But it's just so cool because like being out in West Virginia during the whole playoff run. Everybody in West Virginia, I was actually telling some of the Blues people this at the draft, huge Blue fan base in West Virginia.
Wow.
Everyone's like a Blues fan. Like I literally have pictures going back from my college days with people wearing like just different, like, like Kachuk jerseys. Like it's insane how many Blues fans are actually out there. So when we went on the Cup run, I was watching it with fellow Blues fans. And then when I went back home for the finals, I couldn't even, I'm the kind of person that has to watch hockey, like sitting in the same spot. Like I'm so superstitious.
That's what I did.
I don't think I moved once during that Game 7. Like I didn't get up at all. I just sat. But I do want to ask you a question though, because I know this episode is about to be over and we went on a rant, but it's okay.
We get into soapboxes pretty easily. So.
We did, which is fine. It makes for really exciting Blues content. Are we feeling blue? So every Friday I like to ask, was this a good week for the St. Louis Blues? Was this a bad week or was this in the middle kind of week? Now, personally for me, I think this was in the middle. I think the Blues did make some solid moves. I think bringing some veteran, players is a good thing for the younger guys. I just, however, don't feel like it was something where I could say, wow, this is amazing. But again, I'm going to wait until October to really make my judgment because I don't want to, be too harsh in July. But was this, Dylan, tell me, do you think this was a good week for the Blues or kind of just like, it is what it is?
Yeah. I love the Blues farm system right now. Like I love some of the players that they have in development. I mentioned Dvorsky earlier. We mentioned
my favorite.
We mentioned Snuggerud earlier, who's like 100% going to be a 40-goal scorer, I think, in the NHL. I hate to put that on him, but he is a different. They talk about it on 101 ESPN. He is just a different kind of prospect. Like he is so dedicated. He went back because he knows he can be a better NHL. He thinks that going back to school this year is going to help him in the long run.
Which
I respect that.
It's smart. It's a good move. And
But at the same time, sorry to cut you off. At the same time, I am pretty underwhelmed with the offseason so far. I'm happy with them getting the replacements in for Krug. I know they're probably not competing for a Stanley Cup this season, but man, I would really love to get this retooled moving and at least be a little more exciting defensively and bring in some guys that can play a little more physical and get someone out there that can help Kyrou out and get some of these bigger, stronger guys off his back, like almost like a Matt Rempe, somebody like that can just
an enforcer type.
I would have been fine with Maroon, like I really would have been okay with that. That's why
I'm in Chicago to protect Bedard, probably
100%, and he brings that attitude that you really have to have. The Blues had we can't cuss, but they had a really big attitude in 2019. They said, we're going to come in, beat you around in your own building, and we're going to win this game. And, it's kind of stemmed from Berube, but I felt like the players really had that attitude too. So to answer your question, I'm really in the middle still. I'm happy with Sutter. He looks really slow and looks like he has a ton of giveaways, but his stats aren't terrible. So I'm glad they just got a body at left-hand D. He's always been kind of a physical player. So, if we can make something happen with Krug and get out of that contract, at least for like 2025, 26, that would be huge, because I really do think like next season they should be like a shoe-in, like 1 or 2 seed in the Central Division.
100%. Well, if a big trade happens, I'm going to 100% have you on so we can talk about it. But
Yes.
Dylan, thank you so much for coming on today. I love
you.
talking to you about the Blues. I think this makes for some great conversation. And because it is Friday, I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a good weekend. And like always, let's go Blues.